Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great start to their Tuesday. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball today, got a little bit of a later start, so just give me a second. I've got everything tweeted out. I just need to turn the lights on here in my room, get the fan going, get my water, so we should be good here. But hello to you, Braden. Hello, Heldy. Hello, Tuttle. Hello, Jamie. We are going to talk about whatever's going on with this Will Levis stuff. We will get to it all here in just a second. Just give me like a minute or two to get everything set up. Had to turn the lights on. The lights were not turned on here. We'll go blue today on the lights. We will go blue today on the lights. I mean, I'm getting to this. I'm getting to this Will Levis stuff late in the process, right? Because obviously I'm 3 hours behind the East Coast. So when I wake up in the morning, like lots of stuff has already happened, and so I'm now like I'm catching up in real time. And like I know the power of Reddit, right? I've seen it with certain things, specifically the GameStop stuff. But like there is just so much that would need to occur for that to be just Reddit related. For that kind of movement to happen, for these books to take it off the boards, like something changed. I don't know what, something changed, something got scared. I don't know. We'll dive into it. Hello, Marcus. Greetings from Germany. Hope you're having a great start to your Tuesday over there in Germany. Logan Grady says, the Hurts contract hurts my head. Do we have the specific details on the Hurts contract? Let's go to our trusty friends at overthecap.com. Let's see here. Let me look at this. Okay. It's got 4 void years on it. Holy smokes, that cap number in 2029. They're going to have to restructure that deal way before then. I mean, it's a very, very, Marcus, you could start your Tuesday whenever you want, but yeah, that's fair enough. Oh, well, then I hope you had a great Tuesday, and I hope this is a great close to the Tuesday. Jalen Hurts' cap hit here, as we're in the pre-show, is $97.5 million in 2029. So, for those of you keeping track at home, they will be restructuring and reworking that contract well before the year 2029. Just want to go out on a limb there and say that that's what they're going to do. Hello, Joey. Every other year seems fine. 2023 through 2028 is reasonable. He doesn't peak out. He doesn't go over 50 in terms of a cap number. But yeah, 2029, he's never going to get to that part of the deal. They'll restructure it way before then. And by restructure, I don't mean what we see teams do. Like they will do like completely rip this one up and come up with a new one in a couple of years. Would be my guess. Let's see. Is there any year where it's kind of? Yeah, I mean after 2025, and before 2029, they can cut him post June 1. Like if he's terrible, and again I don't think he's going to be, but they could get rid of him and have like zero money. Like. Relative dead money is all below $30 million. So they're in a pretty okay spot. Interested to hear your opinions on the Aaron Rodgers trade. As a Packers fan myself, I'm quite content with it. Well, I won't do the show before the show, but this will be the second show that I do today in which we talk about it. Prospects and props, which is coming out a little bit later, is my natural raw reaction. Probably about 45 minutes to an hour after it happened. I've slept on it a little bit more. I don't feel a lot differently, but this show is obviously different because we get interactive and you guys maybe point some things out that I don't necessarily think. I'll go to the big screen here for us. We are going to be able to go the full hour, so we'll be able to go until 9 o'clock if need be. We don't have anything that I have to run to for TDN Premium like I did yesterday. And for those of you that are members of TDN Premium and you're in the Discord, or maybe you're not in the Discord, get into the Discord because yesterday we did the TDN Predictive 100 that we are submitting to the Huddle Report for the contest. And we had a full 90-minute conversation putting together that list. I have the VOD ready to go. That'll get dropped in there today for those of you who maybe missed on it. But appreciate everybody being here. We are going to get started with all of this stuff, and you guys know the drill. Any of your thoughts on any of these issues or other issues, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We will get to them here as we go through the show. But we're obviously going to talk about the on-field implications of the Aaron Rodgers trade, but there's draft implications as well, and I think pretty big ones with that pick swap that occurs in the first round. People may think, oh, just 2 spots, not that big of a deal, but I think it could be a very big deal, specifically for the New York Jets in some of the positions that they might target. So hope everyone has grabbed whatever beverage they're going to start, or in Marcus's case, end their day with. I've got my trusty Stanley here with my water ready to go for the day. And we will get started here with the recording of the show. But you guys know the drill. You guys know how this works. Kind of a free-for-all this week with Draft Week. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Just to cap a little bit for the YouTube audience here, and we can get started. So here we go. And welcome in to the Tuesday edition of the TDN Daily Podcast. Chris Schubert back with you here once again on the show. Hope everyone is having a great start to their Tuesday draft week, and it is really draft week with some of the stories that we have here today. We have an NFL trade that finally happened, or at least is closer to happening than it was for like the last 6 weeks. Aaron Rodgers going to be a New York Jet. We know the trade compensation. You'll hear my thoughts on that. We'll discuss the trade compensation. We will discuss the draft implications of this move. And we have to discuss, and I've invited all of my closest friends here in the YouTube chat to discuss as a group, we are going to attempt to figure out what is going on in the betting market with the odds to go number one overall, because all of a sudden, something weird has happened with Will Levis being number one. And this potentially is all because of a post on Reddit, and I consider myself somewhat of a Reddit expert. I'll dive into why I don't necessarily think that can fully be the case here, and why there might be some extra layers to this that we need to keep in mind. So let's start with the thing that I think is probably going to make me the angriest. That's probably going to lead to the most rant, and we will get into it. And I know we've got some Packers fans here in the live chat that are very interested in to hear my thoughts. And here's what we do know. The Jets and Packers have finally agreed to the framework of a deal that will send Aaron Rodgers to New York. He's going to wear number 8 for the New York Jets. And the basic framework of the deal is they're going to do a pick swap this year. So the Packers move from 15 to 13. The Jets move from 13 to 15. The Jets give up a second rounder this year, 42. They had 2 second rounders, 42 and 43. They gave up the one in front, 42. And then the other important thing is there's a conditional pick in 2024 that is a 2, but will basically be a 1 if Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps. So for argument's sake, it is a pick swap, a 2 this year, and a 1 next year, if that is, if those parameters are hit, which they will. So that's ultimately going to be the framework of this deal. Shout out to our guy Eugene here, who's just finally making a live stream. We appreciate you being here on a Tuesday here during draft week. So that's the framework of the deal. And I can honestly say that I've tried to come into this with the attempt of being as optimistic as I can, right? And I said it in a tweet yesterday that I'm glad it's over. I'm going to be rooting for Aaron Rodgers in all 17 games for the New York Jets next season, but there are a lot of this trade that I don't like. And there is a lot that I don't like about this trade, specifically what it means for the long term. I know Aaron Rodgers is a recent 2-time back-to-back MVP, right? One just a couple years ago, won back-to-back MVPs. I get that. I know he didn't play well last year. A lot of people think that's because of the thumb. He is 39, about to be 40. That is something that we do need to consider. I do know that the entire framework of discussing what the Jets were going to do at quarterback needed to be done under the umbrella of the Jets have a playoff mandate, whether it's said out loud or not, in 2023. If Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are going to continue on, if Robert Saleh is going to hit year 4, if Joe Douglas is going to hit, year 6 of being the GM, that it needs to be after a playoff season, that they need to make the playoffs. And so that was the framework that was the umbrella over the top of this entire trade process for the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers, right? That is what the Jets needed to come out of this with. They needed to come out of this with a quarterback that they felt could check the box of getting them to the playoffs so that they could keep their jobs. Job-saving maneuver was obviously priority number 1 for Joe Douglas. Jobs on the line, you do what you do to keep your job. Getting Aaron Rodgers, obviously, is that job. So They make the trade for Aaron Rodgers. They do the pick swap. The pick swap doesn't really bother me. It's the 2024 pick that really gets to me, because I can very easily see a scenario where the New York Jets will be sitting in the offseason of 2024 in the same situation that they are now, in which they don't have an answer at quarterback, and this time they will not have a draft pick to be able to get that long-term answer at quarterback. So not only will they be in a very similar situation, but I think they will be worse off in 2024, because I think any Jets fan that is assuming any more than one season from Aaron Rodgers is assuming incorrectly in this situation. I think the default position, and I've seen a bunch of Jets reporters tweet about this, that anybody assuming what Aaron Rodgers is going to do is ridiculous at this point. You've seen the way he's handled things. Yes, I agree with you. That's why my default position is expecting anything after 1 year is fool's gold. It is foolish, in my opinion, to expect anything after a year. And again, this year was also very unexpected. He himself said on the Pat McAfee show that he went into this offseason 90% retired. So with that comment, with the idea that every year over the last couple of years he's been doing this, will he, won't he, I can't assume beyond this season. So with that being in mind, it sets up for a very disastrous situation for the 2024 Jets of, yeah, their GM and coach might have bought themselves some time, but how much time if they don't have a quarterback and they don't have the draft capital to do it? This reeks, and I read a story on Football Outsiders today that kind of compared this to another team, and I had never thought of it this way before, but I can very clearly see the writing on the walls that this would be the direction that this team would fall into. They could be going down the Chris Ballard Colts path, where they never take another swing at a quarterback. Now, in Ballard's case, he had Andrew Luck, a little different than the Jets with Zach Wilson. Andrew Luck then retired, and since then they have not taken a quarterback until this moment. But it feels like the Jets could be going down that path where they go veteran after veteran after a veteran for a while to potentially try to win with this core, and then at some point have to hit the reset button and take a quarterback. And again, I'm very skeptical of that being the case, and for Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh to be around to be able to make that decision. The other thing that bothers me about this is I will be the Jets fan that is the pessimist in the room and says, I don't know what this does for 2023. I still think they'll be the third best team in their division next season. I still think when you look at it, they are going to have to, in the playoffs, more than likely on the road, unless they win the division, but more than likely on the road, face some combination of these quarterbacks. Not all of them, but some combination of them, which to me adds up for a recipe for disaster. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson. I just named 7 quarterbacks and teams that in some combination the Jets will more than likely have to face with Aaron Rodgers, who for the last decade in the NFC, where the quarterback play was completely, the balance of power at quarterback play was completely in the AFC, he's now going to join there at age 39, age 40, but it's okay. They're going to be able to beat all those teams. So I'm skeptical. Their win total is at 9.5 before and after the trade. I think it kind of had the Aaron Rodgers stuff caked in. That feels about right. I think this is going to be at best a 10 or 11 win team. I think they would have been a 10 or 11 win team if they got Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they would have been a 10 or 11 win team if they would have gotten Derek Carr. I think they could have saved themselves the draft capital. They could have saved themselves the odds and been basically in the same spot with a longer runway down the road. So Eugene says, so who do you think won the trade? I think the only way the Jets can say that they won this trade, it's going to need to be with the benefit of hindsight. But there are 2, I think, scenarios in which the Jets win the trade. It's if the pick that they are giving to the Green Bay Packers next season, that conditional pick, is pick number 32, because they're the team that's been handed the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the season. Then it doesn't matter because they won the Super Bowl. They're going to get all of the opportunity in the world to get a quarterback. Joe Douglas is going to be probably the GM for a very long time. Robert Saleh is going to be coach for a long time. Those guys are going to be, Jets lore for life if they do that. Same thing with Rodgers. That's one way they win the trade. And the other way they win the trade is if Rodgers plays in 2024, because then not having that draft pick doesn't matter as much. Because in my mind, that pick might be needed for a quarterback. If you have Rodgers on the roster and Rodgers can play to a somewhat decent level and be a good above-average starter at 41 years old, then I don't necessarily think the Jets lost the deal. They lose the deal in the scenario in which Rodgers is done after this season, or they lose in this scenario if it's just a complete dumpster fire and they get knocked out in the first round, right? I mean, I think those are scenarios in which it is a lose for the Jets. So right now I classify it as a loss until they change my mind. Braden says, I do think they are better as a team. If I were a Jets fan, the biggest hurdle is that daunting schedule. It's not only the daunting schedule, but it's the daunting path in the AFC. Getting Aaron Rodgers makes the Jets a better team. But adding anybody at the quarterback position would have made them a better team. I think there's a lot of heavy lifting being done by saying we've picked up Aaron Rodgers. All of the metrics, all of the statistics show him deteriorating over the last couple of seasons. Again, that doesn't mean Aaron Rodgers is going to completely fall off the face of the earth and be a bad quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to give the Jets some of the best quarterback play they've gotten in a decade. Is it going to be enough to be able to get them over the hump? Because all I'm hearing right now is the Jets are legitimate bona fide, I saw in all caps yesterday from RG3, bona fide Super Bowl contenders. And I just have a tough time believing that. I don't think they're as good as the Chiefs. I don't think they're as good as the Bills. I don't think they're as good as the Bengals. And, oh, by the way, they have to get through the other quarterbacks that I mentioned. They would have to play the Jags and Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I mean, there are a lot of teams, Miami and Tua. And I know I've seen a lot of people point out the fact that, well, they beat the Bills last year with Zach Wilson. Yes. But their defense stayed relatively healthy throughout the year. They had relatively good health along the offensive line once the season got started. I know at the beginning of the season it got a little beginning of the training camp and the preseason, things got a little tough with Mekhi Becton going down, and they had to throw Max Mitchell in there. But they reached some stability at some point, and I know Elijah Vera Tucker went down as well. But they had a group at one point that was pretty stable. So for me, it's just the daunting schedule is tough. I think they're the third best team in their division. I think expecting Aaron Rodgers to play like the two-time, the back-to-back MVP, four-time MVP, I think that's foolish. And again, I said it on Twitter. I'm going to be rooting for them to succeed. I want them to prove me wrong. It would make me it would make me very happy for them to prove me wrong and for them to reach these heights. But I think the only scenario really, truly, in which this works out is if the Jets are hoisting the Lombardi at the end of the season. And I have a real tough time seeing the path that they get there in 1 year. Because again, the rest of the roster is still very, very young. Team does not have playoff experience. Never played a playoff game before, right? Aaron Rodgers would be bringing that playoff experience. And I think it's very important, if we are going to have this conversation, that you need to talk about the fact that Aaron Rodgers played for the last decade in the NFC and had chance after chance after chance to make it to a second Super Bowl, and he didn't do it. And the competition just got harder. Maybe the team he's on is better. Maybe this Jets team in 2023 is better than some of the Packers teams he's had in year past. We can have that debate, but you cannot argue that the level of competition in a potential playoff run got infinitely harder for Aaron Rodgers than anything he has faced over the last decade in the NFC. That's the hang-up I have with this. And so we'll see. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad on draft night I can worry about the Jets making a pick with the intent of building around Aaron Rodgers and the intent of trying to go all in for this season. But I see more scenarios in which this is a complete disaster and it doesn't end well, and the Jets are sitting in 2024 in a worse situation where, yes, and here's, I think, the other important thing, right? The Jets have the longest playoff drought amongst professional sports teams, among the four professional leagues, the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, and the MLB, right? After the Kings lit the beam and made the playoffs, the Jets now have the longest active streak, longest drought. I don't know. I know for me personally, this would not make me feel better, but I don't know what the consensus is amongst Jets fans. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers taking this team to the playoffs, them losing in the first round, which is very likely. I just listed off all of the quarterbacks and teams that they could potentially play in the playoffs. I don't know if going to the playoffs, breaking that streak, but then losing in the first round and Aaron Rodgers walking off into the sunset is a scenario that's going to be like, for Jets fans, they're going to be like, oh, it's okay, guys. We broke the drought. The streak is over. We've made the playoffs. It's okay. Things are fine. I just don't buy that, right? I know for me personally, it's not the streak that bothers me. It's the consistency of not having good quarterback play and the inconsistency of not being able to put together long stretches of winning. I don't care if you break a streak and then go right back into the pit of misery that you've been in for the last 12, 13 years, right? That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is you building a sustainable winner or ultimately breaking through and winning, right? I don't think Rams fans are upset. They're probably upset with the way the season played out, but overall, they're pretty happy. Tampa, they're okay with what's happened, last year and what's coming on the horizon because they won a Super Bowl. So again, the Super Bowl changes things, and the Super Bowl changes the way that I feel about this. But I would be very surprised if the Jets win the Super Bowl in 2023. Pleasantly surprised, or 2024, I guess I should say. But I would be pleasantly surprised. Drew says we got 13, baby. Hashtag Go Pack Go. Yeah, I mean, it was part of a pick swap. You didn't get 13 clean, which to be honest, I would have much rather done than give up the conditional pick in 2024. Now seeing the entire trade parameters, and that's always been my holdup here. Is I've been unwilling to really kind of dive deep into what I thought on the move until I saw the compensation. But I would have much rather this team give up 13 clean this year, keep the 2 2s, and then have a conditional pick that wouldn't get to a 1 next year. to give yourself the ability to add 2 players this year to keep that pick in your back pocket. Because again, right, the holdup we've heard was because the Jets wanted protections against Aaron Rodgers retiring in 2024. Well, they didn't get any protections. In fact, the protections that they put on the pick work against them. So unless they know he's playing for 2 seasons, or they really truly believe that they needed to get this deal done, they kind of put themselves in a bind, and I think they blinked. I think they're the team that caved first here ahead of the draft. So Rodgers is going to undergo his physical, I think, tomorrow, and then get the deal kind of finalized before the draft, because it's obviously a big deal because there are picks on night 1 of the draft that are implicated, because right now the Jets still technically pick 13 until the trade is processed by the league. So enough of my thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers move. I think it's a move we all expected that to happen. The trade compensation is what it is. Ultimately, the Jets gave up combined in value the value of the 7th overall pick, so a little rich for Aaron Rodgers. And so we'll see if they're able to break through and put this together. Eugene says, so what is Zach Wilson's trade value? Zach Wilson will not be traded. Zach Wilson will be on the 2023 New York Jets, and he will be the backup to Aaron Rodgers. That's what they're going to do. Marcus says, to be honest, I don't think pick 13 is that important for the Packers unless they have a guy they've already zeroed in. Yeah, I mean, you always want to be picking higher up in the draft, right? And if you can do so without giving up a ton, which they didn't give up really much of anything in this trade, then you do it, right? And so the pick swap just helps them, maybe zero in on their guy and make sure that they get him and not worry about the Jets or the Packers or the Patriots or any other team kind of gets in their way. Oh, all right, let's switch gears and talk about it, because I've seen so many things in the chat about this other story, and that is that the odds have dramatically shifted. The odds have climbed at number 1 for Will Levis to be the first overall pick. They've just climbed in a very massive direction for him, so much so that the odds to take a player at number 1 have been taken off the board by a lot of bets. And there has been a theory that it is because of a Reddit post. And I have the Reddit post here, and this is the post. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to give you some details to why I think that this is kind of a misguided take here. Will Levis is currently plus 4,000 to be the first overall pick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's telling friends and family Carolina will in fact take him on Thursday. You're welcome. This was posted in the Sportsbook subreddit, and I will tell you, as a frequenter of the Sportsbook subreddit, as a follower of the Sportsbook subreddit, I can tell you something very important here. I'm going to pull up the exact number. I want to make sure that this is the case. And just so everybody knows, that comes out, and then all of a sudden, after that, we don't know if they're related, but after that, Will Levis moves from 50-1 to 20-1, and then moved to 10-1, and then came off the board. So that's what's happened here overnight on this. So I'm going to scroll down here on Reddit. We're going to do some live investigation here on the show. I just want to check on something real quick. The subreddit for our sportsbook has 344,000 people that are subscribed to it, meaning they have it in their Reddit feed and they see their posts on a regular basis. Braden says, as somebody who doesn't use Reddit, why is the Reddit part usually such a big deal for betting markets and sports books? See, I don't think it is. That's the point I'm making. 344,000 people in that group. I'm going to go to another group because there have been a lot of comparisons about this and what happened with Reddit and GameStop, the stocks. Wall Street Bets, the subreddit. That is the subreddit that was the genesis, the kind of nucleus, the center of the GameStop short market explosion that we saw during the pandemic, right? I want to make it clear. What did I say in the chat, everybody? I said 344,000 people in the R Sportsbook subreddit. Is that what I said? That's what I said, right? The R Wall Street Bets, again, the core, the center, the nucleus of the GameStop Wall Street Bets, which is the comparison that people have been making. 13.9 million people subscribed to that subreddit. 25th highest ranking subreddit in size on Reddit. Apples and oranges here, folks. A post on a subreddit that small is not the driver behind this. It may have forced some money to come in, but something else apparently happened here. And I don't know if a bunch of money came in because of something else, and then that led to that being, it being taken off the board. But I'm not buying that a post on Reddit is what happened here. Heldy says FanDuel has Levis at plus 700 for the first overall, second in odds. I mean, I at one point thought he was down to 5-1 at one point there. But DraftKings took down the first, second, and third overall markets as well this morning. I don't know if those are back up at this point, but there is at least something here. And I wish I could come onto this show today and tell you, hey, I know that X is happening, right? Or Y is happening. We don't. We don't. We don't know what's happening. Jamie says that he was books getting some new money in on Bryce Young. So Jamie, you're telling me that those are back up on DraftKings in the chat. And again, we're kind of doing this live here as this information comes in. So those things were down. Jamie, you're telling me that those are now back up on DraftKings, which is an important note here that they maybe came off for just a little bit, but are now back up. We'll get to some of your thoughts here in the chat on this story as well here, because it was kind of the talk of the show while I was doing the Aaron Rodgers stuff. But Sportsnut talking about Josh Norris said his former co-host, which is Josh McCown for those who don't know, doesn't like Levis and would probably quit if they took him. I need to put something to rest right here. I need to put something to rest right here, and I know Jamie already mentioned it. Josh McCown said that before he took the job as the quarterbacks coach for the Carolina Panthers. And I like Josh, right? Everybody knows. I got a soft spot for Josh, former quarterback of my team, right? Josh does not have the say that would lead for this team to not pick Will Levis, right? It's just not that's just not. He doesn't have the sway. The order of operations here are going to be David Tepper, Scott Fitterer, Frank Reich, and then maybe Josh McCown. He's probably fourth in the pecking order in terms of say on this decision. And so it's easy to say that he would quit if they took him. But that was before he got the job. So I'm not reading anything into what Josh McCown said before he got into that building and took that job and was having meetings and having those conversations. Sportsnut says he's far down the pecking order. You'd have to have a certain guy really higher than the others to take him when his position coach wants no part of him. Doesn't matter the pecking order. I don't know about that. He has his opinion in that room, and Reich has said multiple times in pressers that he sat down with McCown to talk QB prospects. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily, again, I think Frank Reich's going to have a bigger say at the end of the day than Josh McCown. And if Frank Reich wants a quarterback and it's not the guy that Josh McCown wants, I think Frank Reich's going to win out in that conversation. Tuttle says it was reported last fall in a Charlotte Observer article that the Panthers owner David Tepper really liked Will Levis. Is it that far-fetched that a billionaire gets what he wants? I will tell you, Jamie Eisner took that story, that idea, and it has been the framework behind all the bets that man has. Specifically, the fact that the person that he will make the most money on if they go number one overall is Will Levis. Now, he's kind of hedged a little bit because he's got a good amount of money on Bryce, but Will Levis is the guy that would make Jamie the most money. So he's been kind of talking about this for a while. I just caution against the idea of that, and this is not news that comes completely out of left field. We know the connection with Tepper and Levis, right? We know that's been kind of a long-standing rumor that that's the guy that he likes. So it's not a surprise that the money would move in this direction at some point, in even this late in the process. But I caution against, on the Tuesday before the draft, reading too much into some random stuff happening. Let's get a little bit more concrete information before we make some massive leaps here. Jamie says, maybe I'm the owner of the Panthers in my spare time. Maybe you are, Jamie. Maybe you are. Although I think that would be insider trading, and I don't think you probably could do that. So probably not something I would admit to here on the show while we are doing this. So yeah, I mean, listen, again, I wish I had some concrete information here where I could be like, hey, this is what I think, this is what I think is going on here. I really don't know. I have a hard time believing that this is a Reddit fueled thing. I just shared to you the size of that subreddit and compared to another subreddit that has been kind of pointed to as a cause for something. That was the stock market, so something a lot bigger. The size doesn't make sense to me. So it feels like something else happened here. Money came in for another reason. Now, clearly, what happened here is money came in and then these odds moved, and then ultimately they got taken off the board because somebody looked around and was like, what's going on here? We got to pull these until we get some more information. But I will tell you that this doesn't feel just Reddit fueled. This feels like something else happened here a little bit. Braden says, I'm just so glad we are in a year where literally anything can happen, so I'm glad my team is picking 31 right now. Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to have the chaos. We really don't even know what's happening at number 1, although, Bryce Young still probably would be my pick. If I was submitting my predictive mock today, I'm still working on what I'll call version 1.1 of my predictive mock, and I would still have Bryce going number 1 overall as of right now. But this is fun. It's fun when it's chaotic. It's fun when we don't know. It's fun when you can play out all the different scenarios and not truly have an idea of how it's going to play out. It just makes Thursday all the more fun. And you guys know the drill here on the show. We are going to be discussing everything that happens here over the next couple of days in the lead up to those picks on Thursday night. For those of you in the podcast feed listening to the show, please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Tell a friend. Join us over in the YouTube version of the show as well. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go live on YouTube every single day. You can also catch the VOD on demand on the YouTube channel as well. We got a lot of great content coming your way the rest of the week. We'll discuss whatever else happens overnight here. My predictive mock as well coming this week on the various shows. So appreciate everybody being here in the podcast feed. YouTube listeners, don't go anywhere. We got the post show where we'll continue these conversations. I hope everybody has a great rest of their Tuesday. Talk to y'all tomorrow. All right, we're at the pre-show. I got to take a drink of water. What else do we want to talk about? I've got about 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes, where we could talk about some stuff. As we move closer and closer. Post-show Chris. It's true. It's true, we're in the post-show. I don't know what we want to do in the post-show, but we're here in the post-show discussing football and various things. Let's see if there's anything on our NFL that I didn't grab for today's show because of the Rodgers thing and then this Will Levis stuff. What do I think of the new WWE belt? I think it's trash. I think they took the prettiest belt in all of professional wrestling's history. Yes, I said it. Big Gold, the old school WCW world title, is the prettiest belt in all of professional wrestling. And Triple H, a guy who is synonymous with that belt, a guy who loves WWE history, they vomited a WWE logo right in the middle of it. Kind of, Braden. It's bad. Yes, it's that bad. It is that bad. Yeah, it's not very good. Also, can I discuss with the group real quick something? I saw a tweet this morning from Ian Rappaport about the Jets picking up Rodgers' bonus and it converting to a signing bonus for cap reasons, and that it created $43.7 million of cap space, making his cap hit 2023 $15.7 million. I hate that that's the way it was phrased, because I got Jets fans who are like, oh, the Jets now have $47 million in cap space. No. The contract was always going to be, in fact, I just checked from our friends at overthecap.com. They're $6.9 million in the hole in terms of cap space, with Rodgers' 15.7 number. So they didn't create out of thin air cap space. This was always going to be what the contract looked like. If you looked at the contract, specifically from Jason at overthecap.com, he went through the idea of what it would look like on a trade and had this the number. So I hate the way that was being presented. Are you on Bijan Hive at number 8? Yes, Joey. Well, sort of. I think Atlanta ends up with a running back. In my version 1.0, I'll pull it out here. It's under the desk. In my version 1.0 of my predictive mock, which I'm writing down on this piece of paper, I had a trade occur between Tennessee and Atlanta. I had 11 and 8 doing a little swap. And I had Tennessee coming up to get C.J. Stroud, and I had Atlanta landing Bijan Robinson at number 11. But I believe Bijan to Atlanta, yes. That is the pick that I will be making. Any chance the Lions trade back out of pick number 6? There's always a chance, Ryan. There's always a chance of everything. I will tell you that I think the only way that occurs is if there's a team that wants to come up for a quarterback. Tennessee, if they want to get a quarterback and they want to hop the Raiders at 7. They might be a little concerned about the Raiders at 7. Let's say C.J. Stroud's the guy that falls. The Raiders might like C.J. Stroud quite a bit. They may want to get in front, and so they could call up the Lions at 6 to try to get in front if you're Tennessee. Yes. So I would say there is a chance. A scenario has to play out in which a player is on the board, specifically probably in my mind a quarterback that would lead to them wanting to move up to make that pick. What are the current odds at number 1 on DraftKings? It's still showing down for me. All right. Don't mind the rudeness here of me looking away on the other screen as I try to look this up, but I'll look it up. Falcons may trade back with the Packers so the Packers get JSN. I don't know if the Packers need to trade into the top 10 and get JSN. I don't think so. I'm logging into the wrong DraftKings site. Hello? Would like to sign in. Yes, this it me. Would like to sign into this place. Thank you very much. Now, guys, haven't logged into this account in a while. We got to remember the password. What do you think? You think we got it on the first try? What do you think? You think we did it? Braden says, am I dumb for thinking Raiders absolutely won't get QB? No, I haven't thought they would get one this year after Jimmy G. No, I don't think you're dumb for thinking that, Braden. I think the contract's more... all right, so I'm in. Got the password on the first try. I think there is more likelihood that they wait until next year because it's... The Jimmy G contract, this year they're with him. They're probably with him next year as well with the way that the money goes. The third year on the deal, they can get out. So to me, you draft a quarterback next year, you have Jimmy G start the year. If Jimmy G gets hurt or doesn't play well, then you can move to the rookie, and then at the end of the year, you can get out of Jimmy G's contract, and it is what it is. So that to me has always felt like the likely path. But they're the Raiders; they could do anything. All right, so what are we doing here? I'm going to go to football. What's the percent that Jets cut future wide receiver to Corey Davis? I would say that there is a good chance that Corey Davis gets cut. Although I thought this would have happened by now, so I'm starting to get a little skeptical. I'm starting to waver a little bit. Because percentage before, I would have said 95. I'm probably down to like 70%, 65%. Hello? DraftKings? Can you show me the NFL odds, please? There we go. The current odds of number one Sportsnet, I can see them. Bryce Young is minus 1,600. Will Levis is plus 500. That's where it sits right now. That is where things currently sit. Will Levis still the favorite to be the pick at number 2 at plus 125. But that's where it currently sits. I mean, the Jets, Eugene, to your point, the Jets already have Garrett Wilson. They signed Allen Lazard. They signed Mecole Hardman. They've got those three guys. They've also got Corey Davis. They've also got Denzel Mims on the roster. I mean, I don't think they're going to... I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. And that's what leads to, pick 15 being weird. And I didn't even get to this in the show. I totally forgot that I completely spaced on this because we were talking about so much other stuff. But I think trading back to 15, I think it takes them out of play at the tackle spot. I don't know what tackle is going to be there. Paris Johnson's probably going to be gone. Paris Johnson will be gone. I think Broderick Jones goes. And they got a team directly in front of them that's going to want to tackle in New England. So that's the other concern that I have is I don't know. And if they're not taking a tackle, boy, is it anybody's guess what they do. I have no idea. I have no flipping clue. I really don't. Because none of the other needs that they have match up. And positions that could make sense, they've got a plethora of players. Like, if on draft night they still have Corey Davis and there's no tackles, like, could they take a wide receiver? Sure, they could. They probably need one. But, like, okay. Everyone's like, oh, they'll take a tight end. Like, they paid Conklin and Uzoma, and they used a day 2 pick on Jeremy Ruckert last year. Like, that feels a little odd. They need a safety, but they're not doing that at 15. They saved $10 million against the cap if they cut Corey Davis. Let me just look. Yeah, they say it's like $600,000 in dead money, and they have $10.5 million in cap space. So it would get them cap compliant. And remember, I think Rodgers' contract is going to be restructured even more. So I wonder if that 15.7 number gets moved a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I truly don't know what they're going to do if they don't take a tackle. And like the other thing too is like I don't know how they feel about Skoronski because how would you react to a trade back? I don't think it would happen, but what if? I think it's the smartest play of the group. But I have said, and I do a spot on a Jets podcast every Friday. And I've talked about the idea of them trading back, and it's so counter to the way Joe Douglas has operated, right? This as a GM, he's always been the guy that moves up. He moved up on draft night to get Elijah Vera Tucker. He moved up on draft night to get Jermaine Johnson. He moved up at the top of day 2 to get Breece Hall. Like, it's his MO to go up and get a guy. He's not the guy that trades back out of a spot. I do think trading back would be best if the tackle market doesn't fall the way that they want. Tell the Jets to go get D-Hop. I haven't thought about DeAndre Hopkins much over the last couple of days, to be honest with you, because of all the craziness that's happening, but that's not a bad idea. If there's no tackle, and again, I don't know how they feel about Skoronski. I really don't, because if internally, right, if internally they think he's got to be a guard, I don't know where they play him. They've got Laken Tomlinson, who they just restructured his deal. They're committed. They've got Elijah Vera Tucker. Like, they're committed. Unless they're going to kick Tucker outside to tackle, and they're going to have him play right tackle. I mean, that's the way that they could do it. They could play Skoronski at guard, and they could play Elijah Vera Tucker at right tackle. But Mekhi Becton and Max Mitchell and Dwayne Brown are going to compete for the 2 tackle spots unless Elijah Vera Tucker kicks outside. So, to me, Connor McGovern's the center. They just brought him back yesterday. But I think they're going to be looking for an interior offensive lineman on day 2, specifically a center. Tippmann at 43, if he got there, would make some sense. Like, if he's on the board at 43, that would be my prediction. I mean, I would need to see who else is on the board, but I think that would be pretty likely that Tippmann at 43 would make some sense. But yeah, I mean, I really, truly don't know, because I don't think Paris Johnson's going to be there. Darnell Wright might not be there. Broderick Jones might not be there. You've got plenty of teams that can make you got Chicago who could take a lineman. You got Tennessee who could take a lineman. You got New England who could take a lineman. Houston could take another lineman. Philly could take a lineman if they wanted to. Atlanta could take a lineman. Vegas could take a lineman. I mean, you've got plenty of teams where a lineman makes some sense. And if you start that run early, it's tough. So, I don't know. Them doing the pick swap makes me think that they don't think the player that they want is going to be there at 13. Not how I feel about him. I can see Broderick sliding slightly, though, for whatever reason, compared to Paris and Darnell. Yeah, and if he is and he's there at 15, I think the Jets will run in the card for him. I don't have any information on that. But that would be my guess, is that tackle is the only position that matches up with what they need. So we'll see. We will see. Anything else that you guys want to talk about? We got some new faces in here. Eugene, Joey, Ryan B, Marcus. Got a lot of new faces in here. Appreciate everybody making this a part of their day. I'm having a great time. The only offensive lineman would be the Northwestern guard for the Falcons, Peter Skoronski. All right, would make some sense. But again, if that's where the run on offensive linemen starts, the Jets might be the team left without a seat in the game of musical chairs. You know, that's kind of the thing. And they've moved back 2 spots. So, and I don't think the Packers are going to present a problem to them. But the Patriots might. That's the team I'm more worried about. Joey says that he catches the VODs. Appreciate that, Joey. Appreciate that. All right, we'll make this the final call for anything before I get out of here. And I'll wait to see what new thing happens here in the day. Are you guys doing a live for draft night? So, Eugene, what we are doing on the Draft Network social channels, so on Twitter, there will be instant reaction in terms of Twitter videos with our scouts reacting to the picks, giving you their instant analysis, and those will get dropped on social. Eugene, if you are a member of TDN Premium and you are a member of the TDN Premium Discord, I will be dropping a link in there on draft night. And what it will be a link to, it will be a link to a stream, a live watch along with myself. So just like we do here with TDN Daily every day, it's just going to be me. Other members of the TDN staff might pop in. Jamie will pop in when he's got some information for us. Maybe some of the scouts will pop in when they have some time. But we are going to be doing some just a live watch along. So not a full blown live show like we've done in the past, but just a live watch along where you guys can kind of drive the show and have that conversation. When are you posting the VOD for the top 100? That should go into the TDN Premium Discord in the VODs channel, I would say within the next 45 minutes or so. When I hop into the TDN staff meeting that we have here in a little bit, that's the work I'll do in the background. So it's already ready to go. I just need to upload it to the Google Drive where we do everything and then post a link. So once it's done uploading, I don't want to start the upload here while I'm also streaming. That's probably not great for my internet usage. So that the plan is probably by an hour from now, that'll be up. Broderick is a New York Jet. Colbert's. I would hope that as well. Can't wait for your final mock. Have a good one, Chris. I'm also looking forward to putting it together as well. It's causing me some stress. It's causing me some agita, but it's also very fun that I'm submitting one for the first time, and we'll get to talk about it here on the show. So, all right, everybody, appreciate everybody hanging out. Like I said, and I'll remind everybody every day about this. The TDN Premium Live Watch Along. If you're a member of the TDN Premium Discord, get signed up in there. Be ready to go. If you're already a member, you're good. The link will be dropped in there, just like I dropped the TDN Daily link, so you'll all be good to go. Appreciate everybody listening to the show today, hanging out with us. Really makes this a lot of fun. We can have this interactive and have the banter back and forth. So hope everybody has a great rest of their Tuesday. I will talk to everybody tomorrow.